God damn it.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. And the truth shall set you free.
Hello. It's got to be there somewhere. Let's see. Let me look this up.
Oh, I see. She had the cap on the camera. That's it. There I am. All right.
No way. Are you serious? Hey, man. Good to see you.
There's a camera here. I forgot it's there, and yeah, it's like all kind of.
Wow.
I don't know, like Molly uses it more than I do, so I end up. I end up like not finding any because she leaves the cap off like the toothpaste and all that stuff. So I'm always like I can't, I know where she's been because there's a trail of caps everywhere, like everything. Should have put caps on jars, lids on anything. Same with the camera, but like I put the cap on the camera after she's gone because I'm like, well, just so that it's not accidentally on, I guess, so.
Well, dude.
Did we already start?
Yeah, we're rolling, man.
All right, we're rolling.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Face the Truth. This is my good buddy, Fred. I just looked it up. First time he was on the podcast was actually episode 25. And now this is episode 144 or 145. Something like that. But anyways,
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a minute. So there's a lot to catch up on. Fred is one of my favorite people in the world. One of my favorite things about going to New York is hanging out with Fred, and it's amazing every single time. We always have a blast. And I usually go to New York for work purposes, but I don't really care about that. It's more about hanging out with Fred.
Yeah, work's a good excuse to go
It's a good
anywhere,
excuse. Yeah, it's a good excuse to get.
I'm doing research. Yeah.
So, but Fred is a good friend of mine, an amazing artist. He is multi talented with different techniques and styles. He's one of the main reasons, or one of the big people that helped me get into what I do.
You can say main reason.
Yeah, he's the main reason. He's sort of the only reason why
the only. Yeah. That's.
So, anyways,
that's
everyone,
hats.
everyone,
that's why
a
podcast.
This is why I've got two nipples.
No,
right.
I didn't say
Everyone,
that out
welcome
loud,
Fred
right?
Harper.
Hey, welcome. Yay.
Yeah.
I gotta see. Like, I always think of all these like great things to do after a podcast, and one of them would be like, I need an applause button, like sound effect machine next to me, so I can go. Yeah,
I'll add some applause.
Effect. Yeah, we got like fireworks. So this is
some
like
fart noises.
Hands. I mean, because like speaking of excuses for researches, that's my thing. I'm actually prepared. This is my comic book that is just coming out.
That is awesome.
That's interesting. All right, there. Anyways, it's called Snelson. And
let's talk about it.
He's a comic. It's basically the premise is it's an older comedian, and he's like my age, like 50. And he's like going, I'm canceled all the time. He keeps getting canceled because he does dumb things. And but the thing, what you realize in the course of the book is he's never really canceled. Soon as he gets canceled on one platform, he just moves to another one, and suddenly he's making money there. Because he's just like, and so that's the premise of the book, is to show how when you get canceled, you aren't always canceled. It's like
just partially
do
canceled.
Something horrible, then you're canceled. But he's a comedian. A lot of comedians oh, I'm always like, yeah, people are too politically correct or whatever. So they end up like, like that's all I do is bellyache about that. But instead of just go, no, I'm just going to stay being funny, and my audience will find me, and I'll just keep doing my thing. Because, like if you like say Doug Stanhope, for example, he says awful things, and he's only for certain
Says
people,
who? Says
right?
who?
Like, no, he doesn't say anything bad.
No.
I think he's too PC, and so so he ends up, he doesn't, he doesn't need to complain about being canceled because his audience is right there. He's got a loyal audience. They all love him, and they will follow him no matter where he goes. So I mean, if he came to New York, I would go see him. Like I would like try to see him.
So is the book, is it it's based off of a real comedian though, right?
No.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
It's a made up character. We loosely based him on a composite of several comedians like David Cross, and I was thinking of the comic book artist Bob Fingerman. I don't know if you've met him, but
no, I know who he is. I gotta have him on the podcast.
I've met him, and I love, and I we have a lot of friends in common, and I end up like going, he's an awesome guy. I've seen him briefly at conventions, on panels, and I'm like, wow, he sounds really smart, and I like his comics and blah. So, I kind of had him in mind, and then, so I put him together, and then I used my neighbor downstairs, who's the nicest person in the world, and I go,
That's awesome.
This character is an asshole, right?
Yeah.
And he gets canceled all the time, and he goes, go ahead, let's do this, and he starts mugging for the camera, and he's like, my neighbor's really funny, and I just love going down there, and he's the ball buster, so he's just like, but he's the nicest person you'll meet, and so I used his face as the main focus on I got the expressions from him and stuff, and then I kind of caricatured him a little bit, and so it turns out that's the character, but he's based in New York, which is the writer asked me, his name's Paul Constant, and he said he lives in like Portland, I think, Portland, and he goes, what do you want to do with the character? Where do you want to set it? And I go, well, I like New York City setting, because I'm here, I can take reference, I can put them in real places. And and then I use that as my excuse to go to every comedy club and dive bar in the city. I go like, well, I'm doing research, glug, 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 so that's it was a great, it was like the most pleasurable comic book experience I've done since I did comics since '92. So I was like,
that's awesome. And when is it going to be available so people can pick it up? And how can they pick it up? Where can they?
Well, you have to order it because it's Ahoy Comics. They're a small company, and I don't think they're just not distributed automatically. You have to kind of ask for it.
Oh,
and,
cool.
The first issue came out August 4th, and it's 5-issue miniseries. So,
sweet.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun.
Is it totally done, or are you still working on it?
Yeah, I finished that one. I'm already like enslaving myself with the next, because they liked it, and I started working digitally on that book. So I've been doing everything on my iPad, so I can travel and still get work done and not enjoy my travel. And so
you've been traveling a lot, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. I finished.
Jealous.
Covers in Athens recently. I started it. I started one cover. I started in the airport in JFK. I think that's where we flew. Yeah, JFK. And but I worked on it on the plane a little bit, and we had a layover in Germany. I worked on it there, and then I finished it when we got to Athens. And it was like, this is like, it took me half the world to just finish this one, but it was like, it's so nice to be able to move around and not be tied to just one geological area, so
the place that you guys have in Greece, seeing the pictures of you guys, and I don't know the area that well, but it just looks so amazing. Are you like, I mean, I don't know how often you've been spending time there, but just like everything about it, just like the pictures I'm seeing looks so inspirational. Just like the buildings and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you come back after?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, this last time it was a little easier because there was a heat wave and every day was like 107. So we managed to time. We hit the first set of heat waves. It was like the high was like 107 or 108. And then then there's the more recent heat wave that it was like 110 or 111 or something like that. And I'm like, it was just getting bad, and we don't. So because we bought this apartment there, it's we're fixing it up. So we're like I've been to Athens 3 times, and all 3 times have been construction trips. I go to Athens to paint walls and fix like fixtures, and I'm installing mostly demolition. I'm the my girlfriend has me just go like, here, take that heavy thing out, and throw it in the trash outside. And I'm like, okay, it's like a walk up, so it's like 3 flights of stairs, and I'm like, dying. And like the last time it was amazing because it was like one of those nice things that happens that you don't expect. Like we have this heater that we're trying to move out, a big electric heater that it's from the 50s. So we're like, we got to get rid of this thing. It's unhooked. It doesn't work. There's 3 of them in the house, in the apartment. So we're like, okay, we have to get these out somehow. And we don't really speak Greek. And we're in a
hold on. What made you guys choose Athens, by the way? Just like, this is like a cool opportunity to get out of New York.
Yeah, Molly did a story there like about 12 years ago or 10 years ago, whenever Greece was going through this austerity thing.
Yeah.
And so she was there to cover the student protests. She made all these friends. Now her friends have grown up, and they're like, oh, I'm in this part of the government. And I'm an official reporter for this place. And they're all like radical, like anarchist people, so they're like, we don't want the cops here. We're going to take care of our own place, and there's this one neighborhood called Exarchia, which is a really like, it's like they're resisting like gentrification with like protests and mayhem, basically. Like they really hate like real estate developers and stuff like that. And I already hate them. So we have a lot in common that way. And then, because every neighborhood I've moved into in New York has been gentrified right out from under me. So I'm like, I have to move again, because like they're just, everything's too expensive again, so they know that's what'll happen to their neighborhood if they gentrify it. And so like, yeah, they're really radical there, man. They have protests like weekly. There's like every Saturday, there's like, oh, it's Fight with the Cops Day, like, and all the cops are like ex-Golden Dawn people. Like the Golden Dawn party is the Nazi party basically in Greece, so they're like, we got to get rid of these immigrants, and we hate every, that's their police force. So it's like they regularly just shake down immigrants that have like a fruit stand. They'll just kick it over, and that's the cops, you're like, ugh. So the anarchists have kicked them out of their neighborhood. They don't let the cops patrol their neighborhood. They just like, they give them a hard time if they come in, and they fight with them regularly. It's like a thing they do now, so yeah. We're friends with the anarchists, and
of course you are.
So the anarchists are they're really cool if you're not a cop, and I don't have my cop uniform on, so I'm not,
Yeah, and, it's a nice shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I found these really. I just buy them by the color,
Yeah.
So, so I end up, we go to Athens, we hang out with the anarchists, and graffiti's off the charts.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like some of the pictures you've shared are so cool, man.
I don't even take pictures of the good, because it's they're so radical. Like I don't want to be taking pictures and then they'll be like, he's an outsider, he's going to gentrify, he's taking a picture so they know where our positions are or whatever, you know. I don't like,
Yeah.
So my girlfriend has warned me, but most people speak English in that area. So we can get stuff done, but like in other areas, like this heater that we're trying to get rid of, it weighed about 200 pounds, and
Jeez.
it was just too much for me to carry by myself down the stairs. And I mean, just by 2 pounds. And so I was like, okay, we have to get this down. So I try to move down with a little hand cart that I had, slips off the hand cart, bounces down the stairs, takes a couple chips out of the marble. It's like, and it's and I'm like, it's 2 a.m, right?
Oh my God.
And my girlfriend knows just enough Greek to go, it's okay, no problem. Like she said that, because people came out and they're like, what the, and so I'm like, shit, and
that's funny.
What we found out about these things, this is the reason we're trying to get rid of it. The heaters are the way they're constructed. They have the hot coils, and then they put asbestos around the coils and encase it in bricks. So that's why it weighs like 200 pounds. But if you try to pull it apart, it's so old, you get this like asbestos dust everywhere, which my girlfriend found out the hard way, So we're like, this sucks. So so yeah, now there's asbestos all over, because this thing started breaking up as it's bouncing down the stairs, and I'm like, no, and so I pushed it to the side, and fortunately, there's hardly anybody in this building, and and we're in like in a more of a, it's where there's a lot of immigrants and refugees in our neighborhood. So it's not a fancy building, it's like basically like barely noticed that we exist.
The only thing with fancy was the marble that you broke.
Yeah, I mean everything's made with marble there. It's,
yeah.
So yeah.
You're like, hey, it's Greek to me.
I'm sorry I knocked your Parthenon over,
Yeah. Sorry, this 3,000-year-old statue.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, what do you leave it there for? I mean, geez, And
you knocked its penis off.
Yeah, exactly. That's my favorite hobby now in Athens. I just knock the penises right off of those things, And so I end up I'm looking around trying to help find some guy in the neighborhood that can help me move this thing out, because now it's stuck on the second floor, and I'm like, I don't want to leave it here, because they'll be like, oh, those filthy Americans came in here and they're leaving their garbage on our floor, So we're looking all over the place for somebody, and finally, like the day before we leave, this guy, I go to the grocery store guy on the corner. He's like from Bangladesh or something, and he barely speaks English. And I go, hey, do you know anybody, the young guys like with muscles that can help me move this heavy object out of my thing? He goes, he just rolls up his sleeve. He's like, I'll help you. And he's got a big bushy mustache and stuff. He's really like, and he's like, I'm like, it's heavy, because he's like little. He's like, and he's like, I'll help you. And I'm like, all right, so, and it's 98 degrees that day. So I'm like, it's like beating sun, 98 degrees. And he gets up there, he helps me tie it to my hand cart, he stands above and lowers it down, and I catch it. So now I'm catching 200 pounds of stuff going down 2 flights of stairs, and I'm like, oh, geez, don't let go. I'm putting my trust in this total stranger, and he comes over, and I'm trying to, and we're done. We get it out there, and I'm like, can I give you some money for this? Help me. I want to compensate him for like, I mean, it's like, it's fucking hot, and I'm like, you shouldn't be. And he's like, no, nothing, no, don't even, and he's like, don't even try, like, I was like, wow, like, I tried like 3 times, and then my girlfriend's like, did you give him any money for that? I'm like, I tried. I think he's gonna get pissed if I try to offer him any more, so next thing, so I went to a store. I didn't even know his name, right? And so I went there, and I took his picture. I thanked him again, and then I left. And then we walked around Athens a little bit. I found a coffee shop, and I sat there and did a little caricature of him in a sketch pad, and I gave it to him before I left. And I embarrassed him in front of all his friends, because it was like 11 at night. Yeah, and he's like, they're all sitting out on the sidewalk, talking, and they're all Muslim, so they're like, the one he's like, this is my brother. And he's like, his brother looks like, you know, he's got all the garb. Like, he's like, I'm an official Muslim, you know, like he's got like the hat, you know, the cap they wear. And like, he looks like a real, like, I'm seriously religious. And everybody else was more like, I'm casually religious, you know? So, so he introduced me, they're all shaking my hand. They're like, oh, that's great. And then they're laughing pointing at the picture and then laughing at him. And I'm like, this is awesome. You know, so we had a great time there and it was really good. We all like fist bumped and then, we went home and then I left the next day. So they're like, he's like, I'm sure he's like, where'd that fucking guy go? You know,
like, this is really good. Just don't draw Muhammad.
Right. Yeah. So if he comes back, I'm gonna get him. So, but he's like, he remembered me from the previous visits, you know, because I'd go there exhausted. I'm like, hey, can I buy some vegetables? You know, because they had the fresh fruit, you know. So and we have a kitchen, so it's not like staying in a hotel. We actually can live there, you know. With
that's so awesome.
Yeah, it's like
how much space do you got? You have enough space to do art when you finally moved in?
We will. Like, we're still fixing. It was a fixer-upper, so we had to paint all the walls.
That's what I got going on right now.
Rewire everything. Yeah, you just moved to a nice new house there. That's a
man. For years, you're always like, whenever I come to Chicago, we got to hang out. Now I'm not in Chicago, so I mean, I'm very close.
How far?
It's like 30 minutes away.
Oh, you're like a suburb now.
Yep.
There you go. Okay.
Like if I just drive down my street here, I can see downtown Chicago.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's not that far. Like it's pretty.
So it's like saying I'm in Brooklyn.
Yeah. It's really it's kind of like that as far as the distances go. But it's so amazing. It's weird to live in Chicago for 25, 26 years in the city, and all of a sudden now I own a house out in the burbs. Yeah. And it's like I mean we got a fixer upper too. That's why we can afford it.
Oh yeah.
But it's actually more affordable. We have a whole house with a yard and everything. Yeah. Trees. It's beautiful.
Especially with the dog.
Oh, the dog loves it. The kids.
Yeah.
We got the kids have a little slip and slide, little pool, little kiddie pool, and it's just like, you know, sprinklers going back and forth. And the kids jump. I mean, it's just the coolest thing for the kids. We got a little koi pond in the back, which is really cool. It came with the house. It was already. And the funny thing is, the neighbors
are still alive.
Yeah. It's really beautiful. Like the house needs a lot of work. My studio is going to take forever to get set up, and this downstairs area that I'm in now is like sort of a disaster. We have a lot to do. Like the floor is asbestos tiles.
Oh wow!
So we have to like rip the whole floor up and have professionals come in. So it's going to be a big deal. But it's awesome. It's so weird, like going from living in the city to like the vibe here. I'm still feeling like strange, you know, like,
oh yeah, you're still wearing black, obviously. Yeah. Like, I had a buddy, he did comics for a long time, you know, he still does. And he grew up in the Bronx and was in the projects, and he was like, you know, black, and always wore black in the city. And he's just like, you gotta look tough, you know, and you know.
You think I wear this to look tough?
Yeah, but you gotta, you know. But when you're in New York, you know, everything's dirty, so you just wear black. So you know, that's the easiest thing for me. And he's like, and he moved out to like Westchester, like he's like an hour outside of this, 45 minutes to an hour outside of the city, and he's like. Now he's wearing like green shirts, you know, t-shirts.
That's so funny.
But, you know,
that's not going to be me. That's not going to be me. I don't think you're going to take the Chicago out of me. You know.
No. That takes a while.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny. I definitely stand out here. Everyone's so nice. The funny thing about this, so I live in Wheaton, and I found out that it's like the number one Christian town in the world, basically.
Oh wow!
Like it's got like 2 or 3 huge Christian Bible schools, and everyone's so. And you know me, like I'm like me and Jesus are pals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So he's my homie. But so it's kind of funny because everyone's like so friendly and nice, and you know. But I get looks a lot. You know, I definitely get the looks. I'm walking around my dog, and but everyone is so nice here, and you know, it's strange, you know, like I'm starting to worry about things I never worried about before. Like 2 nights in a row, we had some crazy windy storms, and I'm like, I hope my trees are going to be okay. You know?
Right.
Because I have trees now in my yard, like really big, beautiful
now you
trees.
Worry about that hitting you.
Yeah. I don't want my trees. I don't want my car to get smashed by a branch. it was really, because I have like 3 huge trees in the backyard, and it's nice because I have like natural shade during the day, which is awesome. So even when it's sunny, it's still cool back there. And I got like a porch you can chill out on, and then a couple huge trees in the front here. And I'm watching the storm, and it was looking bad. The next day, I took Capone for a walk. My dog took him for a walk, and everything was fine in my property. But like, went around the block a little bit, and trees are down, branches are down on top. It's like, ugh. So that's the kind of things I'm worried about now.
Some ice storms, yeah.
Oh man. Well, that's the other thing too. Like when we get all the snow in winter, my driveway is not crazy long, but I'm like, now I gotta freaking shovel a driveway out and like get the snow off my roof so it doesn't mess up my roof. It's a weird change, man.
Oh yeah, you have different problems. You just change,
I'm mowing the lawn. I gotta mow the lawn every week now. I love it though. I really like mowing the lawn.
It's a good workout, you know.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like it's a good feeling. It's like, this is my yard, you know. I'm like fixing it up, and I'm like, damn, dog keeps pooping in the yard. It's like, I take him for walks every day. Like, so, you know, I want the exercise. I need the exercise. He needs the exercise. And I also want him to like be like, hey, we're gonna go for walks. You can pee and poop on the walk. Right. So that the backyard is just to run around.
Somebody else's place, not mine. Yeah.
Exactly. But I pick it up, I clean it up. I'm a good person. But like I want the background to be where he can just run around and like play. But he's still, it's like, dude, how many times do you have to poop a day? It's ridiculous. I already took you for a walk.
It's like a new challenge for him. He's
ruining my grass.
New dog problems. Like, I got so many yards to poop in. You know.
I know. I'm like Googling things like how to protect your lawn, and I'm like, I am an old man now. I'm like,
there you go.
What's the things that I'm concerned about? Absolutely. No, but we've got a lot of, like, the people that had this house before us. They did a great job of taking care of the property, but the house was like, dude, are you friggin' animals? Like, dude, it was so filthy and disgusting in here. Like,
how long had they been out?
No, they just like.
They moved out and you moved right in?
Yeah, basically.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It was a really close call too, because, you know, long story without getting into too much. Our lender was taking forever to like get everything finalized. And we were literally finalized less than 2 hours before we were supposed to get the keys.
Wow.
To like, and our current apartment that we had in Chicago, we had to be out by the 18th, and it was the 12th. Wow. So if we didn't, if it didn't go through, we wouldn't have had anywhere to move.
Yeah.
You know, we would have had to, like, it's not easy to find a place to rent all of a sudden either in Chicago. No. So it was a really scary situation, but it worked out. And so we're moved in. We're still like unpacking and still doing that stuff, but we had so much, like, there was gum all over the house, like on the floors, on the window seals. Like what in the world? The walls were just nasty. Like, there was this gross carpet on the stairs it was just, everything was, but we've done a lot of work already.
Yeah.
We're going to have to redo the kitchen one day. Right now we're just repainting things and it looks so much better. But dude, it looked like,
will do a lot. Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. It looked like no one had done anything to take care of the house in like 30 years. Like, things were so gross. And like the second day we were in here, I think it was our first full day of actually being completely moved in. We had a huge plumbing problem, and had to have a plumber come. He had to go into the bathroom downstairs. He had to actually cut a hole in our wall that's still not fixed yet.
Of course, yeah.
To get to something, and so that has to all be repaired. And then we found out in our laundry room there was like this. We thought it looked like a drain that was overflowing, and all this like literal shit was coming out of it. Into our laundry room. It was just coming out. It was disgusting. Like, this is the first full day. So our first full day in the house, we had a plumber come, and we had to go stay at my brother-in-law's place. The first night we're supposed to be in our own home, we had to stay at someone else's house because
everything was losing it. Yeah.
Dude. And then the plumber fixed it and told us, he goes, "Oh, that's not a drain. That's actually an open sewage. That's not supposed to be coming into your house. It was open." So the people that were living here had an open sewage thing just coming into their house constantly.
They're like, I like the smell. It's a nice.
Can you believe that?
Wow.
So he capped it off. It's like, you shouldn't have a problem anymore. He's like, this is supposed to be capped off. It's literally dangerous. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And our inspector our inspector never noticed it.
Oh yeah.
Because we did a walkthrough.
Did he have a nose?
Yeah. Well, I think it was set up wrong, and it looked like a drain. It didn't look like
Yeah.
But so we've definitely been getting adjusted to this whole thing, and bit by bit fixing it up. But it's looking nice, man. So, anyways, whenever you do come to the Chicago area, we got plenty of space, and once we get the downstairs fixed up, we'll have like an extra like hangout area and stuff.
I'll bring my own sewage candle.
Yeah. Bring a hazmat suit. And you can bring a little fishing pole and catch some fish in the back. There's like, I think 8 fish in there.
Oh no.
Oh, here's the thing I was going to tell you about that.
We'll
that's
see
funny.
how many there are when I leave. Yeah, that's.
But here's the funny thing: these people that lived here before, like, really, the yard is beautiful, and it's like it got fence all around, so it's really nice. They got the koi areas to the left, and it's just like really beautiful. There's like a tree, there's like all these like plants, and there's lily pads and little fountain. It's like really beautiful, and you would think that they would leave like a note. This is how we feed the fish. This is where.
Oh yeah.
Like,
little care instructions.
But there was nothing. They left nothing. We didn't even know how to turn the pump on. We were like, how do you turn the pump on? And it turns out they rigged a light switch in the kitchen. A random light switch in the kitchen turns it on. Like how would you know that? There's nothing on the fuse boxes. And we're like, it's going to be winter soon. I don't know anything about this. I'm trying to look into it now. Like, do the fish
you just let them freeze there?
Like, yeah, what do I do?
I mean,
like,
I've heard you can like let goldfish freeze.
They
hopefully they freeze instantly. And
I'm researching and trying to figure out. But I just think it's funny that
fish, so you could probably get new ones. No problem,
just every year you just get new ones.
You get new fish. Yeah, what the hell?
Oh man, but it's cool.
Have a nice fish dinner in the fall. And there's
a shed in the back that's really nice. And they left a lawnmower, which it's kind of a piece of crap, but I've been using it for now. It's an electric lawnmower. It has to be plugged in the entire time.
Wow.
And it's so annoying, dude. Every time I'm out there, I'm like, God damn son of a bitch. Like
it
whipping.
Just stops if it unplugs or
yeah. It's like a vacuum cleaner that cuts the grass.
No.
It's so annoying, dude.
Nice.
But they left a chainsaw. There's a chainsaw in there.
Yeah.
So there's a little fireplace in the back, so you can like have a little fire. So it's pretty cool. It's a work in progress, but anyways.
Yeah, it's kind of our thing in Athens looked like a crime scene when we first went in there. It's like we found a bone saw, in one drawer, and then she Molly, my girlfriend, was finding all these like random like weird like I don't know if that's like a good thing, like knives and things that were just like, did he kill people here and just eat them, or we weren't sure, but it was like had been nobody had lived in our place for like 10 years, so like most of the fresh meat had rotted, like there were no
no, we have a bathroom. Our bathroom on our main floor was so bad it has to completely be regutted. The toilet was just unreal how disgusting it looked, and the tub and everything, the walls, everything was disgusting. And the funny thing is we just cleaned it, and it's like, oh wow, all you have to do is clean it,
Yeah.
But we knew when we bought it, like, hey, there's a lot of stuff we have to do. But the bathroom, I told my wife, I was like, what we could just do in this bathroom instead of spending money and regutting everything? Let's just make it like a themed bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just like put in some red lights, put some punk rock stickers and posters everywhere, put some needles on the floor,
needles,
just like,
definitely.
Dude, this is our punk rock bathroom.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything really.
We could just randomly write things on the wall.
We'll just leave like markers and stuff for people. They can all sign their name when they go in. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, I took a shit here. Yeah.
I think that would have solved the problem pretty easily. But
you got to just go with it. Bend like what's that? Bruce Lee, like you bend like a willow or something like like crack. I don't know.
We got like little like little stations in the bathroom. Like this is where you can do a line of blow. Like
yeah.
Just put it on the shelf though, so my toddler can't reach it.
Here, yeah.
Just don't let. It's got to be up higher so my little girl.
Absolutely, yeah. You have to think of the kids.
Yeah, you got to think of the kids for sure. Yeah. So, what kind of things you've been working on besides since you moved back and everything?
Yeah, I've been doing just the comic book work. I'm like, I didn't mean to be getting into comics full time again, but like I've been doing covers for the Week magazine still, and that's every 2 weeks, like clockwork or calendar work. And so I do that, and then a couple other like business, a couple other magazines have been calling me that hadn't called me in a long time. Of course, with half the budget, but I'm like, okay. But I do some of those, and then the comic book work though is like I'm doing a kind of a Batman spoof for Ahoy Comics. They like my Snelson comic, so they were like, yeah, you want to do another one? And I'm like, okay, it's a one shot, 25 pages. I'll do that, and I'm having a lot of fun with that one because it's about exactly what I was just going through about gentrification. Or like, it's like the Bruce Wayne character is he's not Bruce Wayne, but it's like it's kind of set up like Batman, rich guy fights crime at night kind of thing. And so the bad guy, he's a frustrated musician who his favorite club just got it got bought by a conglomerate that demolished it and built a high rise there that he can't afford to live in, right? So and he's angry, and he's working for another crime boss, and he's like just likes killing people with his instruments. I'm like, and I have a couple of scenes where I'm like, so he takes like a saxophone and he blows it at, blows a note, and darts come out and like kill people, right? And I mean, it's the most obscure, obscene, absurd. Bleh, what am I saying? It's a silly, absurd way, like kind of like campy Batman. Like, I'm gonna kill you with this poison string, or it's like something silly that Batman in the 60s would do, and so it's kind of campy like that, so he's like, I'm gonna kill you with my saxophone and shoot darts at you, but like when you're looking at it in a comic book, you can't hear it, so it just looks like maybe he's just a bad musician and he's killing them with horrible playing.
Yeah, it's like Kenny G-ing them to death.
Yeah. I'm gonna play my saxophone and you better give me money to stop. So he just kills them, and out of nowhere he's just pulling out a guitar he's like
out of his utility belt.
Out of his utility belt. Yeah, and they wanted him kind of loosely from the late 80s, like that time period, so they wanted these like guys with like big zoot suits and shoulder pads and stuff from the 80s, and so that's kind of the time period he wants it set in, and so I'm like playing with that, and they wanted the bad guy kind of modeled after Prince, so I'm like, oh, okay, I'll look at Prince, and he's got all these like things, and I'm trying to design my way out of a lot of work by like, okay, if I have to draw that costume a lot of many times in the course of this comic book, I'm gonna go crazy if I put too many things on the costume, right? I want to be able to simplify it so I can just get it done, and I wasn't thinking, and I was looking at the Prince reference, and I'm like, oh, he's got all this shiny stuff on his shoulder, so I'm gonna make him circles. And to I can't half-ass it now. So if I half-ass the circles, it looks bad. So I'm like, I gotta get the circles just right. They're all shiny, and now I'm like, this is a nightmare I've just made for myself.
Because you're doing it all, you're inking it all, right? Like that's the style.
Yeah.
Are you doing full color too?
I was planning to, but like just yesterday, as I was turning in the pages, they like the black and white because I do a lot more rendering than most comic book, people do. So put a lot of black and white in there, and like I use the spatter tool on the iPad. You know, it's like it's all digital, so I don't have to get as messy as I used to. You know, so
Yeah.
but like they like the black and white so much, and that they're like, what do you feel about just coloring it yourself and doing it in tones? You know, like just like a one tone or you know what? I'm like that would totally work. You know, because it would totally I could emphasize a lot of different things. And I usually just cross my fingers when I hand it off to the next guy in a comic book, you know, like, like the other night I was looking through, somebody started posting the stuff I did for Marvel Comics Presents in the early 90s. You know, it was just, I did probably 50 issues or something like that. You know, it was a lot of issues. And every time I handed it in, it was like it was a crapshoot to see if the colorist understood where the light source was or whatever, you know. And
oh my gosh,
like, it's just because the colorist is usually the colorist in a comic book is usually a frustrated penciler or inker, and and then the inker is usually a frustrated penciler. So you know, and the right and or a frustrated writer who can't. You know, like nobody's doing the job they seem to want to do in comics. So I'm just like I'm getting paid right now, and I'm having fun. The stories are fun. The people I'm working with are all from the old Vertigo comics from the DC. Like a bunch of them used to be editors there, and they're like, well, now I can write. You know, because the editors were usually frustrated writers. That's what it is. You know, so. Because they were like, oh, I could write, you know, but I have to edit because I want to be in comics, so I edit, you know, and then, you know, so I'm working with them, and they're like, well, I'm the editor and the writer, so I can do everything myself, you know, and I want you to do that, and they barely art direct, you know, because they're just like as long as my story is told, they're happy, you know, and I'm like, cool, I got more freedom. They totally are just happy that I'm doing work for them, you know, because I'm focusing on it and I'm having fun. They don't kill me with the deadlines. They're like, yeah, we don't, you know, we haven't scheduled when that book's coming out yet. You know, we're gonna wait until you're almost done. You know, and then I'm like, good, because I don't know when I'm gonna get done with. You know, like I'm trying to focus on my other work that pays more, and so, but because of the pandemic, I'm like, okay, now I have more time to do the comic books. So I started taking on more work, and next thing you know, I'm like, okay, now I'm doing comics again. So
that's so crazy.
They're already at, you know, hey, do you want to do the San Diego Comic-Con and be on a panel? And I'm like, wow, you know, I've gone from not really being in comics for 20 years or whatever it is. Yeah, over 20 years. And to suddenly I'm doing comics again, you know, so I'm like, geez, you know, it's
that's
never
pretty cool
far away. Yeah.
Well, that's what I always admire too about you as an artist is you're so versatile with, like, you know, from doing oil paintings to inking and comics and caricature illustration, and I mean, you basically have done everything.
That's what New York did to me. I you know, like I was always curious about everything in college. You know, I didn't have one thing that was my favorite. You know, I thought I was going to be an airbrush artist at like a carnival. I thought that was going to be the top of my career right there. You know, I was going to be somewhere in Ohio, like, you know, airbrushing Susan plus Joe, you know, loves Joe. You know, that was going to be my thing. You know, I'm like, cool, I can do that. You know, I thought that was going to be. You know, I thought that was the shit, you know, and then I got an opportunity to come to New York, and next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I could paint a mural. Yeah, I'm painting murals. And then then I got into comics. You know, it was like there was just so many things that were options here, and each one gave me a new skill, and it was like, wow, I'm just learning so much more just from working and being in this area. Now I don't think you have to be here to like get all the skills. You just have to have the curiosity to do it now. You know, it's easy. It would have been easier to just live somewhere where it's more affordable and then just, you know, go. I'm like, yeah, it's more. I can afford rent here and have a car and eat well, and I'm not worried about paying rent. Whereas like New York, I'm like, everything's about paying rent. I'm like, I'm still worried about paying rent. I'm like, So yeah, that's
Yeah.
Like, my girlfriend is she's been doing much better than me at making a living. So she ends up like going, yeah, I want to buy a house now, because I'm like, I am nowhere near where I can buy a house, But so she found, she got the place in Athens a couple of years ago. It was, it was like 30,000 euros. It was like she had to pay for it outright. So she had made enough money and been saving already. So she bought it outright, and so there's no mortgage or anything. Her monthly bill is like €7 a month, for that place now. So like after you buy it, it's yours, and it's like everything's cheap there. So so it's no real overhead. And but now that now it's a couple of years later, and since she's been organizing her finances so that she can qualify for certain loans, and so there's some old, like, I don't know what it's like when the New York City used to give people a break to buy their building because the buildings were like so in such disrepair. They would let the residents fix it up, and then the residents could buy the building for $1 or something, $100 or something, and the gimmick is that they're only allowed to sell it for a certain amount over market value or something, or whatever, like a certain percentage. So but in order to qualify for that thing, your finances are so down, they're so low. I don't know how anybody can qualify for it unless like you have like wealthy parents that are like, well, we'll just give that money to you for the down payment, because nobody that makes $40,000 a year can like buy these apartments. They're still too expensive. So but we, if you make enough and you have an accountant, you can like make yourself, have the proper amount, so that's what she did. And so she makes enough to pay, so it's going to reduce our rent by half of where we're at now, more than half of where we're at now, but we'll have a mortgage though, so and we're going to move to Brooklyn. So
when are you guys going to be moving?
We're gonna wait until there's a blizzard in winter, and
it sounds like the best idea.
We're about 4 or 5 months away from moving, and if everything works, but
you guys will own it though.
Yeah.
So that'll be
it's a walk up. It's in Brooklyn, but it's right by the steakhouse. That I'm like, okay, I'm going to be eating steak,
That's so funny.
I'm going to be saving a lot of money on rent now.
Yeah.
I'm going to have some more money for steak,
So. Dude, that's the best thing, man. Like, that's the thing, like, I'm so excited about is having our own place. And it's just weird that.
Is it your first house then?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
First house I've ever owned. But the nice thing is I can't believe it's like, it's pretty big, got a yard. Yeah. And I'm paying way less than what I did to rent in Chicago.
Yeah, it's like, just that
I'm
down
saving.
Payment part is the hard.
The
part.
Down payment thing was not fun.
Yeah, no.
But I mean, it's all good now, and it's just a, now it's just a, let's just keep getting jobs coming in.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I wanted to ask you real quick before we split, because we got about 10 minutes left here. What I wanted to ask you about since you're getting into the comics now and you're basically doing everything. Yeah. What's the first thing that you start with? Like, they give you a script, and do you have to first do like character design first? Like you sit there and try to figure out what they're going to look like, and
depending on like what it is, like the Snelson book, I had to develop what the character looked like. I did some sketches. They weren't too picky. I did something I thought I could do throughout the book, and then And then they gave me the script, and now I have to figure out, like, they're driving this kind of car, and they're on the road in this part of the country.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have to do research to figure out, like, what does that look like? What kind of car is this? Can I find enough reference of a car that looks like that to give enough angles, to make it look interesting?
Yeah.
And then I start treating it like like storyboards for a movie, because I'm like, where is this scene going to happen? Do I have enough room to make it happen? Or, does it make sense to have it there?
And do you like go through and decide, like, oh, this particular scene would be an amazing 2-page spread or something like that? Like, can you do that kind of stuff?
And that's the nice thing about working with the writers and editors that I have at Ahoy. They're really laid back, and as long as it's a cool idea, they like it. They're like, oh no, they let you be you, because they want your uniqueness as an artist, so you can kind of go, yeah, this is what makes me me. And they're like, oh, I like that, go for it. That's why we hired you.
How much time do they usually give you?
Well, they would like it immediately, but yeah, they've been pretty, they have enough books that they don't depend on me to get it done right away. And I've made it clear to them, I have a lot of other work that I'm doing that isn't comics, so I'm not able to do a schedule where it's like, yeah, I'm going to do 2 pages a day for you, and,
yeah.
In my head, I used to do 2 to 3 pages a day when I was full-time just doing comic books. And, but I was working more traditionally, and, so it was definitely a different process, and definitely, like, I worked pretty quick. Also, looking back at all that stuff, I don't really like it either. So it's like, I'm like, I was like, yeah, I should have used reference on that one. And it's like, it's a lot of stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
but you didn't have time to find reference, and it was before I really had a good computer. You couldn't just like go and Google, like, oh, what's a dog look like, or what kind of dog do you want, so before it was like, oh, my neighbor has a dog, I'm using that dog, so
I always get blown away by artists like Jim Lee, or like those artists that like I've seen videos of them just like drawing from out of their head. Yeah. And they just draw all these characters from like any position, any angle.
They're on automatic. It's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, dude. It's so crazy.
A lot of figure drawing, and then it's been internalized, and then years of doing the same like kind of comics, they're always doing. It's always interesting to see when they just like when I go through a comic book, I can usually tell if they come across something they've never drawn before. You'll see the photo reference kind of showing through instead of their style. They haven't internalized it yet, but they'll use the same cross hatching so that the cross hatching holds it together with the rest of their style. And I'm always fascinated with that kind of like, I can read their stories, and I know I know what's going on with their style, between their style, the what's new, and how they're expanding what they know. And then I'm like, yeah, he didn't look at anything for that face or for that figure.
One thing that just popped in my mind to ask you is, like, I know from every single time I've hung out with you and stayed with you guys, you don't have a TV. You don't watch TV.
No, this is the most television I've watched.
So, but how do you, like, do you not ever watch movies? Like, did you not see the new, for example, the new Zack Snyder's Justice League, his Snyder cut and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I like going to theaters, and I'll see a movie in a theater, and I just don't, I get antsy in front of computer. I don't like, this is like my.
Well, I think as a comic book fan, though, you should. So like Zack Snyder did Justice League a couple years ago, and it was terrible. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And the reason was because tragically his daughter had committed suicide, and he had to stop his vision of the film. And I think it was James Gunn came in and redid the movie.
Oh, geez.
James Gunn is like the guy that did the Avengers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And he totally screwed everything up. He like made it more colorful. He tried to add all these jokes. He changed the story a little bit, and ultimately, what happens is a little bit different. And it just was, the character development was terrible and everything else.
Mhm.
Well, for years, fans have been like asking, like they've been hearing about Zack Snyder's what the movie was supposed to be like, because like I personally like the Man of Steel movie that Zack Snyder did. I like Batman vs Superman, the what do you call it, the Ultimate Edition. I love that movie. A lot of people hated it, but I had fun with it because I love Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and stuff. So finally, the fans were begging and begging and begging. Zack was able to put out the Snyder cut of the Justice League movie. It's 4 hours long.
Oh, gee.
But it's really good, man. To me, it's one of my favorite comic book movies of all time now. It's a great Superman movie. It's a great Batman movie. It's a great Wonder Woman movie. And then the Cyborg character is just awesome. And like
cool.
You're like 4 hours, dude. Trust me. It doesn't even feel like it. I mean, it didn't to me.
Wow, that's a good one, man.
It was one of I've seen it like 3 times now. I like it. I just brought it up just because you're, getting into comics again. It's to me, like me when I was growing up, Superman and Batman comics were like my favorite comics, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And to like see these movies actually coming out now and being good is just like, oh yes, because there's so many bad ones.
Yeah.
There's so many comic book movies.
All my comic book friends are always, they were always like, oh, that one sucks. It didn't matter which one came out. They hated all of them. And I was like, okay, I mean, that one Batman movie was really, I thought, pretty cool.
Dude, like what I love about the Batman in this with Ben Affleck as Batman, but it feels the most like Batman than in any movie I've ever seen. And there's a really great scene, especially at the end of the movie. It really captures like Frank Miller's Batman, like like how how the big giant tank. So there's actually a scene in there that's at the very end, and it shows Batman standing. He looks just like the Frank Miller Batman. Like he's got the short little ears. And
Frank Miller,
huge.
His design sense is amazing. So if you copied his,
that's exactly what Batman feels like in this movie. And there's this great scene at the end where it's like this, like almost like Bruce Wayne is having a vision, and it's in the future, and Superman is after him, and it's all this awesome stuff. But it's like in the desert, and Batman's wearing a trench coat with and the Joker's there, and like it's all at the very, very end, and you're just like, I want a whole movie of that. It was it was like Mad Max and Batman, dude. Anyways, if there's a chance you could stream it, I think you could probably stream it and watch it on your iPad. But
I'm gonna have to start brushing up on them.
It's worth it, dude. But you got to make sure it's the Zack Snyder cut, not the original, because the original is just complete pile of garbage. But anyways, it's already been. It's already
so obscure. It's what do you mean by a pile of garbage?
It was terrible. It was very disappointing. But anyways, I got to get going soon. I got deadlines. I'm sure you got stuff to do.
Me too.
I just want to thank you so much. It's great to catch up. We got to talk on the phone again sometime, and I miss you guys. And thank you so much for taking the time to just chat. It's been fun, man.
Yeah.
Let everybody know where they can find you online. So where they can get the book.
Yeah, you have to go to your local comic book shop or call them up and ask them to order Snelson. Comedy is Dying for Ahoy Comics, and they should have it on the list. There's only one distributor, so that's comics.
Yeah.
And but you get that, and then I'm looking at doing a Wrong Earth by Ahoy Comics. I'm doing a one shot. Who knows when that's going to be finished? Currently working on that one, and they're just they have a whole bunch of books from Ahoy that they're all quirky and weird.
Yeah.
So I like those guys, and there's that. I think that's all I'm doing. I'm not doing it. I'm going to be going to the grocery store.
Wait, what's your Instagram? We'll tell you.
Dead Red Fred.
Dead Red
on
Fred
on Instagram, and that's Yeah, all the fun stuff. There's a picture of my girlfriend's ass on there. So yeah, if you don't want to look at me, you want to look at her ass. That's a lot better than me, you know. So.
That's funny. All right, you heard it here first, folks.
Right. And second. Yeah.
Yeah, and if anybody or if anyone hasn't seen my episode with Molly Crabapple, you should check that out as well. It's really fun. We had a great talk.
Oh yeah, she had a blast talking to you.
Yeah, it was fun, man. So
she
everyone,
loves your take on religion. That's as do I.
Well, thank you everybody so much for the support and for hanging out, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, man. Jazz hands.
You want answers? The truth shall set you free. I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.